I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk about a topic that's been very hot in the news lately, and that's the topic of affordable housing. Now, when I talk about affordable housing, I'm not talking about low-income housing. I'm talking about housing that's within the reach of a family earning, let's say, $100,000 a year. As a real estate agent, I know how challenging it can be for young families, or any family for that matter, to buy into this beautiful but very expensive city. So let's dive right in. There's three things that I wanted to share with you today that could help to solve this housing affordability crisis that we're facing right now in Vancouver. The first is prefab housing. Now, what is prefab housing? Do you remember when you were a kid and you used to play with something called an erector set, a toy that you'd bring home from the toy store called an erector set, where you'd bring home this toy and it was essentially all these components and you'd bolt them together? Well, that's essentially what prefab housing is. All the components that make up the building are manufactured off-site. So the steel beams, the steel columns, they'd all be manufactured off-site. The hollow core concrete slabs that make up the floor for each level of the building would be manufactured off-site. And they're shipped onto the construction site, and the building is put up very quickly, and it allows you to build beautiful buildings in half the time of typical cast-in-place construction. Prefab housing allows us to be more efficient. It allows for less labor, less pollution, and most importantly, it allows us to build our buildings at a lower cost. So prefab housing, it's done all over the world, in Europe, it's done in Israel and China, so why not Vancouver? Why not implement prefab housing in Vancouver? Suggestion number one. My second suggestion is to fast-track the building permit process. My God, it takes so long to get a building permit in the city of Vancouver. It can take anywhere from 5 to 7 years from the time a developer goes to City Hall with a conceptual plan to the time the building is finally completed and people are moving in. 5 to 7 years is not unusual. Hell, I've seen development application signs on street corners for 3 or 4 years and nothing's happening. So we need to fast track this process. Now, I'm not saying a public consultation process or a public process is a bad thing. I'm all for the public process, but we need to make it more efficient because time is money. And the longer it takes, the more expensive it becomes, and those costs are just going to be passed on to the end homeowner, ultimately the condominium buyer at the end of the day. My third solution is to reduce municipal fees. Municipal fees have gotten out of hand in the city of Vancouver. Did you know that besides the cost of your building permit, there's two other big fees that developers face? They face development cost charges, or DCCs, and community cost charges, or CCDs. Now, CCDs, or community cost charges, that's a new charge that was implemented. Now, I think municipal fees are good in a way because they help to build parks and daycares and other amenities. So we need some municipal fees, but they've gotten out of hand. And did you know also, when you see these land assemblies up and down Oak Street, Cambie Street, Granville Street, where they assemble the single-family homes and these single-family homeowners sell their properties for a lot of money, those homeowners are not contributing to the community cost charges or the development cost charges. The developer is on the hook for all of these costs. And guess what? The developer just works those costs into his pro forma or his budget to build the building, and he passes it right on to the end user, which is the condominium or townhouse buyer. So it's a problem. We need to reduce the costs of municipal fees. As a final note, if we can't solve this housing affordability crisis that we're facing in the city of Vancouver, there's two things we could do as a society. The first is to educate ourselves on financial literacy and really understand how money works. And the second is to look for other sources of income. I've left a link to a 5-question quiz, a very simple 5-question quiz on financial literacy. I encourage you to take that quiz. Also, attend a financial literacy course. I've left links to financial literacy courses below as well. Please share this video with friends and family. Share it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. This video is very important, and I really believe it could solve our housing affordability crisis. My name is David Seton with TRG Realty and Answers in Real Estate, and I'm a real estate agent that specializes in selling and marketing homes in the Vancouver West Side. I would love to be able to sell homes to all families of all income types. Please help me by sharing this video. Thank you so much for listening today.